Hello and welcome back to day 47 of How to Fix the World in 80 Days, and today's subject is housing. Of all the topics I've spoken about so far, this is probably the one where I'm the least sure of any actual solutions. I mean, we all see this, we all know that's a problem, I just don't know how to deal with it. So with that being said, here is a short list of a few problems that I know need to be addressed, and I'm hoping that we can work together to find some actual solutions. Number one, homelessness. It's estimated in Canada that there are roughly 5,000 chronically homeless people, and as many as 200,000 will be homeless for at least one night throughout the year. Now I know that doesn't seem like a lot compared to the 100 million homeless people all around the world, but if you live in Montreal and you walk around downtown, they're definitely still noticeable. Apart from me not wanting my city to smell like piss, there's also a moral side of me that just wants to help these people. Yes, I understand there's already resources dedicated for them, and yes, I understand that often these people are their own worst enemy, but I can't help but feel like there's more we can do when I know that there's only 15,000 shelter beds in Canada, and like I said earlier, potentially as many as 200,000 homeless people. Number two, government housing. For many, the solution to homelessness would be rent-controlled or government housing, but I'm not so sure that's a good idea. In theory, the idea is very reasonable and apparently very popular. If you want a single-bedroom, rent-controlled apartment in Canada, the wait list is approximately 7 to 10 years, and there's about 140,000 people waiting on that list. Now I understand why people want cheap rent, and as a result, the federal government has promised to invest over $40 billion over the next 10 years to build 100,000 new units and to fix an additional 300,000. But in my heart, I just have an issue with the government getting involved in real estate. How are they supposed to decide who gets rent control? There are more people on welfare than there are spots available for government housing. Are they not all equally worthy? And what about single mothers? Do they not also equally deserve a chance to save a couple $100s a month on their rent? If you only give it to 1/3 of these people, that's just not fair. So for these reasons, I don't think government housing is a good solution. What I'd propose is some kind of means-adjusted tax reform, or maybe working on some legislation to pay people a living wage so they don't have to rely on the government to pay their rent for them. Number three, rising housing prices. Now to be fair, I understand that a booming housing market has two sides. If you bought a house in Toronto or Vancouver 30 years ago, you nailed it. And that wealth has made all of Canada a much richer place. But if you're my age, the present does not look so good. Since 1985, the real estate market in Toronto has climbed 4 times faster than income, which is a crazy number. And one of the major reasons for that is, number 4, foreign ownership. Officially, even in Toronto and Vancouver, foreign owners only account for less than 5% of homeowners. But if you live in those cities, you can literally see the difference. And I don't care that foreigners are coming to live here, it's more how they're influencing the real estate market that is becoming more and more of a problem. First of all, they tend to buy the most expensive properties, which artificially pulls the whole market up and makes it harder for people like me to afford even the cheapest homes. Secondly, a lot of the time, they don't even live here, it's purely a secondary income property. So what happens is in a city like Vancouver, where the rent is out of control, a full 8% of homes sit empty all year round. That defies the basic law of supply and demand. The more I look at real estate numbers here in Canada and across the world, the less they seem to make sense. So as I said at the beginning, I don't really have any solution to these problems, but just to highlight how important it is that housing is on this list, you can't have this guy buying a $238 million apartment in New York City when 100 million people don't even have a place to stay. It just doesn't add up. So while these two extremes might seem miles apart, they're actually related in the sense that if you start addressing one, it's going to have a positive reaction on the other. I don't know how, and I don't know why, but I do know that it's true because it has to be.